Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and today we have an exciting topic to explore: how to learn English on your own. Whether you're just starting out or looking for ways to improve, this episode is packed with tips and strategies to help you master English independently. Joining me today is our wonderful co-host, Julia. Hi, Julia.
Hi, Jason. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited about today's topic because learning English on your own might feel challenging, but it's also incredibly empowering. You get to set your pace, choose what works best for you, and take full control of your progress. Jason, I think a lot of people feel overwhelmed when they think about self-learning, don't they?
Absolutely, Julia. Many learners think they need a classroom or a teacher to improve, but the truth is, you can achieve amazing results on your own. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about today: how to build a strong foundation and stay motivated throughout your journey.
By the end of this podcast, you'll have actionable tips to make your self-learning journey effective, fun, and rewarding. So grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's dive in.
Let's do it. But first, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and share it with someone who might find it helpful. All right, let's start by discussing why learning English on your own can be such a great option. So, Julia, let's start by talking about why someone might choose to learn English on their own. What do you think are the biggest advantages of self-learning?
Great question, Jason. One of the biggest advantages is flexibility. When you're learning on your own, you can study anytime, anywhere. You don't have to follow a rigid schedule or rely on a classroom environment. It's perfect for people with busy lives, like students, working professionals, or even parents.
That's such a good point. And I'd add that self-learning allows you to personalize your journey. You can focus on areas where you need the most improvement, whether it's vocabulary, grammar, or speaking skills. Unlike a traditional classroom, where everyone follows the same plan, you're in control of your priorities.
Exactly. Another advantage is cost-effectiveness. There are so many free resources available, apps, YouTube videos, podcasts like ours, so you don't need to spend a lot of money to make real progress. You just need the right approach.
That's true. But, Julia, I think some people might feel a little intimidated by the idea of learning on their own. They might think, what if I make mistakes? Or, how will I know if I'm improving?
Yes, and that's completely normal. Self-doubt can be a big obstacle, but the key is to remind yourself that mistakes are a part of the learning process. In fact, they're how you grow. Plus, with tools like language apps or online communities, you can often get feedback to track your progress.
That's reassuring. And I also think self-learning teaches an important life skill: discipline. When you take charge of your learning, you're building habits that go beyond just English. You're developing time management, focus, and problem-solving skills.
Exactly. And one more thing, learning on your own builds confidence. When you accomplish something without a teacher or tutor, you realize just how capable you are. That's such a great feeling and a motivator to keep going.
Absolutely, Julia. So, to sum up, learning English on your own gives you flexibility, personalization, cost savings, and a chance to grow in confidence and discipline. Now that we've covered the why, let's move on to the how. Coming up, we'll share some practical strategies to make your self-learning journey as effective as possible. All right, now that we've discussed why learning English on your own is a great option, let's dive into some practical strategies that will help you make the most of your self-learning journey. The first strategy is:
Set clear goals. This is super important, Jason. If you don't know what you're working towards, it can be easy to lose motivation or feel like you're not making progress.
Exactly. Setting clear, achievable goals gives you something to strive for. For example, you could set a goal to learn 10 new words each week, or you might focus on improving your speaking by practicing for 10 minutes a day. The key is to keep the goals realistic and manageable.
And don't forget to track your progress. That way you can see how far you've come and celebrate the small wins along the way. I love using apps like Duolingo or Anki for this because they help me keep track of what I've learned and remind me to practice every day.
Great suggestion, Julia. Now, the next strategy is to create a routine. A routine helps you stay consistent, which is really important when learning on your own.
Right. If you want to improve, you need to practice regularly, but that doesn't mean you need to spend hours every day. Just set aside a small amount of time every day, maybe 15 to 30 minutes, dedicated to English practice.
Consistency is key, even if it's just a little bit each day. It's better to study a little every day than to try to cram everything into one session. Plus, daily practice helps keep English fresh in your mind.
Exactly. And what I love about a routine is that it becomes a habit over time. You won't even have to think about it. You'll just automatically start your day with English practice.
That's the goal. Now let's talk about something really important: using resources effectively. There are so many tools and resources available online, but it can be overwhelming. How do you know which ones to choose?
That's a great question. When it comes to resources, I recommend using a mix of things. For vocabulary and grammar, apps like Memories or Grammarly are great. For listening, podcasts like ours, YouTube videos, or even Netflix shows with subtitles are fantastic.
Right. And for speaking practice, you can use language exchange apps like HelloTalk or Tandem, where you can chat with native speakers. Don't be afraid to use technology to your advantage. It's a great way to practice without a speaking partner.
And don't forget about reading and writing. You can read simple news articles, books, or blogs in English. For writing, try keeping a journal or even writing short essays on topics that interest you.
That's a great idea. And I think one of the most powerful ways to learn is by practicing speaking, especially without a partner. Some people feel like they can't improve their speaking skills if they don't have someone to practice with.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. But there are ways to practice speaking by yourself. You can do self-talk, where you speak about your day or describe things around you in English. Another helpful technique is shadowing, where you repeat what you hear in English videos or podcasts, trying to match the speaker's pronunciation and tone.
Exactly. And apps like SpeechLing can also be great for this, where you record yourself speaking and get feedback. Technology is really a game changer for self-learners, especially when you don't have a speaking partner.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not about perfection. It's about making progress and getting better with time. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's part of learning.
Well said, Julia. To wrap up this section, set clear goals, build a routine, use a variety of resources, and don't forget to practice speaking, even if you're on your own. These strategies will help you stay on track and make steady progress in your English learning journey.
Now that we've covered some strategies, let's move on to the next important topic: how to stay motivated and disciplined while learning on your own.
All right, we've covered some solid strategies for learning English on your own. But let's face it, staying motivated and disciplined is often the hardest part, especially when you're learning solo. Julia, why do you think motivation can be so tricky for self-learners?
That's a great question, Jason. I think one of the biggest challenges is that we don't have a teacher or classmates to keep us accountable. Without that external pressure, it's easy to fall off track, especially when we don't see immediate results.
Yeah, I've definitely been there. But the thing is, motivation doesn't always come naturally. Sometimes you have to create it yourself. So, how can we stay motivated even when the going gets tough?
One key way is to break big goals into smaller, more manageable tasks. For example, instead of saying, I want to speak English fluently, try setting smaller goals like, I will learn 10 new words this week, or I will have a 5-minute conversation in English every day. These smaller goals are easier to achieve, and each small success will boost your motivation.
That's a great strategy. It's all about building momentum. And I think celebrating those small wins is really important too. Even something simple like checking off a goal or completing a study session can give you a sense of accomplishment.
Yes, celebrate your progress no matter how small it is, and don't forget to be kind to yourself. Learning a language is a journey, not a race. So if you miss a day or don't meet a goal, don't beat yourself up. Just pick up where you left off.
Exactly. It's all about the long-term mindset. But let's talk about discipline for a moment. Even when motivation fades, discipline is what keeps us going. Julia, how do you maintain discipline when it's hard to stay motivated?
One way to build discipline is by creating a habit. The more consistently you practice, the easier it becomes. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't think about it, you just do it. And the more you practice English, the more it becomes part of your routine.
That's a great point. And routines don't have to be long or complicated. Like we mentioned earlier, even 15 to 30 minutes a day can make a big difference if you do it regularly.
Another way to stay disciplined is by setting a specific time for studying every day. If you do it at the same time each day, like first thing in the morning or right before bed, it becomes a non-negotiable part of your schedule.
I totally agree. Setting a specific time makes it feel like a commitment. And another thing that helps is eliminating distractions during your study time. Find a quiet space, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, and focus entirely on your English practice.
Yes, it's all about creating an environment where you can focus. And one more thing to stay disciplined. Find ways to keep things interesting. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, it can get boring. Mix things up by practicing different skills. Listening to a podcast one day, watching an English movie the next, or having a mini speaking session with yourself.
Variety is the spice of life, right? Keeping it fresh and fun will definitely keep you more engaged in the learning process. And for some people, it really helps to track your progress. When you see how much you've learned, it's a huge motivator to keep going.
Absolutely. Tracking progress helps you see the results of your hard work, and that's encouraging. Apps like Duolingo or language trackers can help you monitor your consistency and see how much you've accomplished over time.
To sum it up, staying motivated and disciplined when learning English on your own takes effort, but it's totally possible. Break your goals into smaller tasks, celebrate your achievements, be kind to yourself, build a routine, and keep things interesting. These strategies will help you stay on track.
Exactly, Jason. And remember, the journey might not always be easy, but the more you stick with it, the more rewarding it will be. Now, let's move on to something that ties everything together: audience interaction.
All right, before we wrap up today's episode, let's take a moment to connect with you, our listeners. We know that learning English on your own can sometimes feel like a solitary journey, so we want to hear about your experiences. Julia, what are some ways our audience can interact with us?
Well, we'd love to hear from you. First off, you can leave a comment on our YouTube channel or social media pages about your personal experiences with learning English. What challenges have you faced? What strategies have worked for you?
Exactly. It's always helpful to share and learn from others. And if you have any questions about what we've discussed today, feel free to ask. Whether it's about setting goals, staying motivated, or finding the best resources, We're here to help.
And for our listeners who like a bit of a challenge, how about we make a fun, interactive activity? Try to record yourself speaking about your language learning goals and share it with us. We'd love to hear your progress and maybe even feature some of your recordings in future episodes.
That's a great idea, Julia. We believe that sharing your voice and experiences will motivate not only you but others in the community as well. Plus, it's a great way to practice speaking.
Exactly. And don't forget to follow us on social media for more tips, updates, and inspiration. You can find us on insert social media platforms. Let's keep this learning journey going together.
All right, now let's move on to our final segment, where we'll summarize everything we've talked about today and give you some closing thoughts. But before we finish, remember to engage with us and share your own learning experiences. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode. We've covered a lot of ground on how to learn English on your own, from the benefits to the practical strategies and ways to stay motivated and disciplined. Remember, learning a language is a journey, and it's all about taking small steps consistently.
Exactly. Whether you're setting clear goals, building a daily routine, or using different resources, the key is to keep going and enjoy the process. And don't forget, staying motivated and disciplined is what will keep you moving forward, even when things get tough.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up, we'd like to leave you with a call to action. If you found today's episode helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this episode with anyone who could benefit from it.
Yes, and if you're feeling extra motivated, leave a comment telling us one thing you're going to do this week to improve your English. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences.
Remember, this journey doesn't have to be done alone. We're here to support you every step of the way. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode of the English Learning Podcast. Keep learning and stay motivated.
Take care and happy learning.